Army Green Beret Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Wood first set foot in Libya last February to lead an elite 16-man military security team with expertise in counterterrorism. From the moment he arrived, he says he saw chaos.
With shooting incidents that occurred, many instances involving the local security guard force that we were training there. Constantly there was battles going on between militias, criminal activity, and that became increasing danger as time went on as well.
Wood met daily with Ambassador Christopher Stevens to discuss security. That's Stevens on the right and Colonel Wood on the left at a Memorial Day service in Tripoli.
Was he concerned about security?
He was. He was constantly concerned about the threats to not just himself, but the entire staff there.
Was there what you saw as a visible security drawdown during the period of time you were in Libya?
Yes, it began just shortly after I arrived. There was pressure to reduce the number of security people there.
Pressure from where?
Higher headquarters at State Department.
Over 6 months leading up to the attack on Ambassador Stevens, Wood says the security situation in Libya deteriorated. There were 13 threats or attacks in Tripoli and Benghazi. Wood says Ambassador Stevens and his staff made the case for tightened security in emails and diplomatic cables, but one by one lost 3 State Department security teams, their only airplane, and eventually Wood's Squad 2.
Did Ambassador Stevens or the regional security officer fight losing another team?
Yes.
Do you feel like there was a disconnect between what you saw on the ground and what the State Department folks in Washington thought was going on in Libya?
There was certainly no disconnect in our transfer of information to them. They were getting the information on the situation on the ground. And we sent it up through State Department cables, and I sent it up to the military side on the DoD side. So there was awareness of what the situation in Libya was about.
How did you get the word that your team would not be allowed to stay?
We knew that was coming through the cables and the draft cables that were going back and forth. The requests were being modified to say, don't even request for DoD support.
So State Department was telling the folks on the ground in Libya, don't continue to ask for this help?
Correct.
Wood says, in his opinion, some of the security teams would have been in Benghazi on September 11th to help the State Department bodyguards if they'd been allowed to remain in Libya.
Does part of you wonder if the security requests had been granted, those deaths could have been avoided?
Yes, yes, I do. I think about that. I spend a lot of time thinking about that.
Colonel Wood says in Special Forces he normally operates in the shadows, but says there was so much misinformation after Ambassador Stevens' death. He says he felt he had relevant information to offer congressional investigators, Scott, so he stepped forward.
Thank you, Sharyl.